Who are we? We are Southern Boating Supply. We are fishermen, boaters, and outdoor enthusiasts. We believe the best sunrises are seen from the front deck of a bass boat, and you haven't lived until you've watched it set over the Gulf of Mexico. We love paddling a kayak to unknown waters, hoping to get that one big bite in the skinny shallows, and breaking ice in a duck boat long before daylight, hoping to be rewarded with a strap full of mallards. We also believe in doing business the old school way, where a handshake means more than a contract and a man actually stands by his word. Where customers get put first in customer service, and where the word corporate will get you sent straight to the swear jar. Where quality matters over quantity, and priority number one is making sure that every single boater enjoys their precious time on the water. If that sounds like the way you see the world, you've arrived at the right place. Welcome to Southern Boating Supply, your anchor for quality boat parts.
These indeed. Every night. I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
Now.
The summer heat never treats me kind. It leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.
Sing it if you know the words. You don't steal them off your neighbor.
Know my name and I don't care.
No. Another place, and I got
3 good tires and a
right to the hook.
Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget. Live, the not so live variety from the low budget live bar and grill here in beautiful southern middle Tennessee. And I hope you're all doing well out there. I am glad to be back in the bar and grill because as you well know, I've talked about it. I have to go to Wisconsin to do NPFL Lives. And this week of all weeks, it was extra tough because the tournament was in my backyard. Pickwick Lake, right here over yonder shoulder. And I had to go all the way to damn Wisconsin. So it's good to be back in Tennessee because I was jealous of them boys down there on the Tennessee River because they stone cold destroyed that fishery. I mean, showed up and acted like they owned it. Unbelievable tournament. A 9-10 big bass for the event. 26-pound bags, 25-pound bags, 22s, 23s, 19s, 18s, 17s, 7-pounders, 6-pounders. Oh, my. It was something, dude. If you didn't watch it, shame on you. It was a beatdown, an absolute beatdown. NPFL adjusted the times. I did some social media clips on that this week, but the blast off was at 10:30 in the morning. And listen, man, that's how it should be. That's how it should be. If you're watching this, not listening, if you're watching this on YouTube, you see a chair right here, an open chair. We're going to have a guest. We're going to have an in the bar and grill guest today. So I'm going to say some NPFL talk because the NPFL is close. I flew back in. I'm recording this actually on Saturday because it's, I got to say happy birthday to the Triple Threat, belated birthday. Because this weekend's all about the Triple Threat. I took a flight out of Milwaukee at 5 a.m. this morning, 3:45 wake-up call, took off to the airport, and some of the NPFL guys are still around. So we're going to have a very fun podcast once we get some business stuff out of the way here a little bit. But NPFL was fantastic. Now I'm home for a couple days, which is why I'm recording early and trying to get an LBL knocked out for the week because I'm traveling yet again. Got to spend some time with the family and then off to the races to go to Icast, where when we get there, I don't even know what we're looking at because everything gets posted already, like 2 weeks before the event. Oh, look at this. I got this little widget. Look at this. We're going to put this on photo galleries and social media's post for weeks leading up to it. So let's all go stand around in the Orlando heat, wear our dress pants and a damn badge in a convention center. I am looking forward to seeing everybody down there. But I do think it is a completely pointless show anymore. COVID year, we didn't have it. Fish and tackle through the roof. Nobody missed anything. There's business that does actually happen at Icast, but a lot less business, in my opinion, than used to happen there. But it's interesting, man. I know a lot of big companies that aren't coming this year, not going to have a booth. I'm going to be down there. We're not going to have a Southern boating booth. I don't see the point, don't see the need, but I'm going to be walking around down there. If you're going to be at Icast, say hey. I know I'm going to get to see a lot of folks. I'm going to be hanging around with the Eagle Claw crew, my Pro Guide battery family as well there, and doing some, got a couple of Southern boating meetings, but be down there for a couple days for sure. But I do, my buddy Fat Cat Newton gives game changers a hard time, the term game changer, but it's just more and more, man. I just wish we could go back to the day where the show did have some surprises, and truly everybody, if you don't start building the hype on social and all that, people feel like they're behind the 8 ball. It's crazy. You certainly know everything coming before you get there. I feel like I used to go there and be like, holy crap, look at that. Not so much anymore. But I will be at Icast in Orlando. Busy, as y'all know, running all over the place all the time. All right, let's thank some sponsors, and then we're going to bring our guest in. Gill Fishing, gillfishing.com. They want to give you a gift, so let them. Don't be stupid. If you're going to buy some gill stuff, you can use code LBLGIFT at gillfishing.com. When you spend $100, they're going to give you 25% off. Right now, that's the gift right now to you for being a low-lifer. Sometimes it's a free piece of apparel. Right now, it's a 25% off. Gillfishing.com, LBLGIFT. Pro Guide Batteries, ProGuideBatteries.com. LBL10 is the code there, LBL10. It's going to save you on some of the best batteries in the game, from their AGMs to their amazing lithium batteries. They got it going on. They got lithium cranking, lithium trolling. They got the all-in-one 36 volts. They got the new chargers. ProGuideBatteries.com. Trust people that have been in the battery game a long time. Bait-works.com, bait-wrx.com, the exclusive online home of the LOB jig. Gets lots of bites. That finer than frog hair skirt material, that Eagle Claw trocar, just, I promise you, you can hurt one with it. Gets them hooked, stays hooked, and you can throw it on big boy line. You don't have to, no tiptoeing around it. Pitch that sucker in a bush pile and get him. 20-pound line, come on, swing him in the boat. Exclusive online home there at bait-wrx.com, bait-works.com. Dunkin-10, Dunkin-10 saves you money. And last but not least, hang the imaginary banner. Express Boats, the original all-welded aluminum bass boat, that X21, 21 feet of fury with a 250 Yamaha show. That's, in my opinion, one of the baddest engines that's ever been built. Absolutely love mine, and I'm happy to announce that my Gremlin has been discovered. I had a loose ground and man, a ground wire that was causing all my headaches. And my boat, as of this morning, is finally. I've not been in like 3 weeks, and it's killing me. But I'm gonna be doing some fishing after Icast. I can assure you that. Express Boats X21, 96-inch beam, bad to the bone. They got the X19. They have the new H series as well. H17, H18. They got the new H20 ready for a 175 Yamaha show. 20 feet of fury. Go check them out, expressboats.com. Find a local dealer. Express Boats, building excitement since 1966. All right. Our guest is almost here, so we're going to pause for station identification. And when we come back, the next time you see my face, the next time you hear my weed eater voice, we will be joined by the one and only, an NPFL champion, an NPFL champion, an NPFL championship qualifier, maybe the most dialed individual, one of, in the country when it comes to electronics. One of my favorite folks, a go-to for me on information of all kinds. The originator of a wiring harness. The one and only Sonar Pro himself, NPFL Pro, Trent Palmer. All right, here we go. Here he is. As promised, I introed him as the Sonar Pro Pros Pro. Nobody
knows. As many pros as you can throw
all the pros. Trent Palmer in the bar and grill. Y'all know I love in-person interviews, and he was just right down the road in Counce, Tennessee. I was in Wisconsin. Got back home this morning, and Trent and I talked last night. I'm like, dude, on your way back to Sonar Pros headquarters in Georgia, stop by the bar and grill. So thanks for coming, buddy.
Yeah, it worked out. We were at Freddie T's last night celebrating Patrick's win, so it was a little slow morning, so it was easy to stop by.
I noticed that from your first text to your, hey, buddy, I'm headed your way text, it was a little bit. So there was some slow movement in there.
It was a little delay. All of us were a little slow getting up this morning, but that's just part of it when a roommate wins.
When you guys, Patrick has now broken the record, 4 NPFL shields. So y'all celebrate a lot. You've got to win, Corbish Lee. So the house out of the 3 events this year. All right, we need to set this up. If you don't keep up with NPFL, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, one of the coolest things in bass fishing is camaraderie. We all like the community we're all nerds about fishing. But these guys, this house, it originally started, it was Justin Kimmel, Patrick Walters.
And myself.
And you.
Yeah, the first year we fished.
The first year.
Yep.
And then we added Mike Corbishley to the mix.
Yeah, last year Kimmel went to the Opens.
Yep.
And then it was Patrick, Corbishley, and myself last year.
And now this year we've added Justin Kimmel, JK back to the mix, and Drew Cook.
And Drew Cook. Yeah.
To the mix. No big deal. Just the 2019 Rookie of the Year, Bassmaster Elite Champion. So these guys, and they work together. Like I see it. We hear you talk about we're sharing this, sharing that, but we see it on live. We get to see a lot of the behind the scenes. You guys are running into each other on stuff. Don't fish that. And they're friends, but there's friendly fire sometimes. Like yesterday on live, Corbishley came pretty close and you're like, hey, well, don't go hit that. And he's like, I'm leaving right now, like messing with you. But out of the 3 events this year, the house, and we call them the House of Heroes, and we'll get into that, they've gone 2 out of 3. The next event is on Saginaw Bay, where this man won his trophy last year and came in second
the year before.
Finished first last year by an ounce to Patrick Walters. So there's a chance this house could go 3 for 4 because they went 1, 2, 3 last year at
Saginaw. Yeah, it's funny enough, the first event this year at Logan Martin was a disaster.
You guys all sucked. Yeah.
Except
other
for
Drew, other than Cookie.
Yeah, the last day he had a big bag and jumped up, but that first event was odd timing for myself, mainly because I'm going to do the typical fisherman thing, and throw out a bunch of excuses real quick. But I didn't finish rigging my boat till the morning.
No way.
I had to leave.
That is a bad excuse for you.
It is,
but that's a busy time for you also.
And I had to make Patrick and Drew fish out of their last year's boat because we were so backed up on boats.
Because you guys are slammed at Sonar Pros.
Yeah, and but yeah, that first event we were just. It was a bad practice for all of us, and Cook was the only one that did well in the house, and we were like, I guess this house thing's not going to work out this year.
Drew, you're out.
There's too many of us now. But to your point of us working together, I mean, obviously the past 2 events have worked out well. I mean, we're extremely open in practice. We're on the phone with each other saying, hey, I just did this. I caught this here. Give this a try. And we are even though there's 5 of us, which you would think would cause issues with we're sharing too much.
Running out of spot, yeah.
Running out of spots. It works incredibly well because we all have our strengths as far as what we can do. And this week was very evident of that because it was first day of practice. Our house pretty much figured out they're not offshore on the typical community stuff.
I was going to say on typical stuff.
And we quickly put together where they had moved to. And it evidently worked out. I think the house this week obviously went 1st, 2nd, 7th, 12th, or 13th is what Corbishley finished, and then Kimmel just, unfortunately, he should have had a good day yesterday, but he lost some fish.
Had a great first day, decent second day, and then a rough final day. JK, come on, dude. The house could have gone 5 for 5. No, I'm sure he does not feel great about that because Justin wears his heart on his sleeve and is as passionate about this sport as anybody I've ever met.
Yeah, the worst part was, and he'll hate that I tell this story.
Bring it.
So yesterday afternoon, he was doing, don't quote me on the time, but I think he was doing at the middle, like 6:15, maybe 6:30, something like that. And I ran into him 45 minutes roughly before he had to be due in. And he was on this outside brush pile, and I knew there was an inside brush pile, and they were about 100 yards apart. And I pull up to him, I said, "Hey, dude, did you hit the inside pile?" He said, "Yeah, I hit it. There's nothing on it." And I said, "Well, I'm cracking them right now, dude. I've caught like 17 to 18 pound bags. Like, I'm catching them like every spot I pull up to." And he's like, "Well, show me how it's done," because I didn't catch anything out there. And I make that first cast up to that pile and hook up with a 4.5 and boat flip it in front of him. I said, "Well, that's how you do it."
Poor JK.
Yeah, it was
in that
bad.
moment. And dude, when it's going right though,
It happens.
it does happen. And we watched that with John Branch on live. Shout out to John Branch. I didn't know John that well till this week, and he absolutely put on a show on camera. But he invited one of his buddies in to his spot. He's catching them every cast, and his buddy couldn't have caught a cold. And John's getting bit every cast, but when you're locked into that exact retrieve and what you want to do, it's funny. And you've all, if you fish very much at all, you've been in the boat with your buddy. Maybe you're in the back of the boat, he's in the front cracking them, or vice versa. And you're like, dude, I'm throwing the same bait. Like, there's something that happens sometimes with retrieves. Maybe it's
100%.
confidence, but it certainly happens, and we see it a lot.
And everyone has their own cadence with things. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll give Corbishley crap here. Day 2, I pull up on him when I caught that big bag, and he's like, I pull up, I'm like, "Hey, you got him?" And he's like, "No, I got like 4 for like 8 pounds." And I told him exactly what to go do, and he's like, "You got him?" I was like, "Yeah, I got like 23 plus." And
he said,
he goes
"Womp,
to fish a
womp."
spot right there by me, and I can see that he's like winding the crap out of this bait, and I'm like, "Dude, slow down." And then sure enough, he went to the next 2 spots after. I think taking a little recommendation from me, and he caught a 5 and a 6 the next 2 spots he went to. Not saying I'm some expert, but yeah.
Sometimes I feel like you're definitely an expert, Trent Palmer. I think you are. You represent, I'll say this, in pro fishing, because the NPFL, we got a lot of working men, because it's 6 events, but it gives you an opportunity to chase your dream of pro fishing because you work your butt off in life all the time, real job. You got real job stuff. Yep. But I think you represent the working man. And I've said the same about a Brandon Perkins. Like, he doesn't get to fish a ton when he's not an NPFL.
He's in the sales world. He's out on the road.
Yeah, he's doing it. And you're the same way in the sense that you're not fishing. I mean, you spend time on the water, but not like a lot of, quote, probably not as much as Patrick, right? I mean, Patrick's on the water
a good bit.
He's fishing all the time. He's like John Cox now. He just fishes all the tournaments.
What's impressive about Pat, he doesn't really fish that much anymore. I mean, he's newly father, so
new dad,
he doesn't fish as much in between events as he used to.
Okay.
That guy's just on a different spectrum than all of us.
And we'll get there. I want to talk about that too.
Yeah, what's crazy enough is, I just moved into a new shop this year for our business.
Mm-hmm.
We're scaling that up. I hit 72 hours on my boat this week. This is the least amount of fishing I've done this year. My fiance keeps telling me, like, you just need to go fun fish this weekend. And unfortunately, sometimes work gets in the way. So, like, for me, I never had aspirations, nor do I have aspirations to fish for a living.
You don't want that to just be all it is.
I have no interest in doing that. I never had the aspirations to be a pro fisherman, but I love fishing tournaments. And generally speaking, in my career of fishing tournaments, I'm pretty consistent and get a chance at winning every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And when the NPFL came into light for me, it just kind of made sense to go there, and it's been pretty good since then.
Yeah, I'd say so. You've racked it up. The entire house is racking it up. Why, with your love of, because you do love tournaments.
I do.
Explain to folk, why wouldn't being a professional fisherman like suit you, like your personality type? Like, what is it like? Say before you, because now you get to pull back the curtain, like you see it, you deal with all the pros, you rig a lot of the biggest names in this sport. You spend a lot of time with them, but even before that, so it wasn't like a reality check, I guess. Was it ever a dream? I guess is my question.
I think what I did when I did college fishing, there was probably a part of me that wanted to do professional fishing then, just because I had some success in college fishing. You kind of think, oh, I can do it here.
Yeah.
There. I think for me, a big reason for me, and this might shoot myself in the foot for future sponsors, I don't like doing the traditional sponsor approach in the sense that I'm not going to be the guy that goes out and does a bunch of social media posts. I'm not the guy that's going to go generate all this content for you. What I am going to do is move product. And I like showing validation of that. So the benefit I've kind of found myself in my niche is a lot of my best sponsors are also a very integral part of my business. And I move that product and they get a financial benefit from me moving that product through the business and vice versa. So to answer your question, I think a big reason why I don't want to just fish for a living is I know to do it properly in the type of angler I am, I'm not going to be able to just make a living off of tournament earnings, right? You have to have the other revenue side of things, which is the sponsor relationships, going out, working shows, all that kind of stuff. And that part of the business is not a huge interest of mine.
You have no desire to do that part.
No.
The fish catching, check. You've got that.
Yeah. And like I said, if like I've got some really good sponsors that integrate with my business. Now I have two non-endemic sponsors, Smith Built Construction and Copper Creek Hardware, which Copper Creek's been one of my longest sponsors since I got into fishing. And I have a relationship aspect with them that works out as far as providing value to their businesses. But the regular sponsor thing is a big reason why I don't have an interest to fish for a living.
I get it, man. And we've seen that like with a guy like Jacob Fouts.
Yep.
You know, some of the stuff he put out there last year is like, hey man, I'm not the biggest personality. I will say to Jacob, he's turned the page on that.
He's had a heck of a year.
But dude, he works hard on his social media. And I think being open and honest with everybody about his situation has made a lot more people keep up with Jacob. It's very cool to see, man. Yeah. And he's really catching them this year. That's for sure. How is it? Because there are 7 this year because you made the championship. That work, because you are very busy, that work balance, tournament week, how difficult is that for you to try to, because I know you don't turn it off, you can't turn it off, but to compete and be in the top 10, back-to-back top 10s, smashed last year, get a win last year, how hard is it though, being a working guy and trying to compete against a Patrick Walters that you're in the same house with? Yeah. And he's got a lot going on too in life, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, how do you focus on a tournament week?
I haven't figured out the math on it yet, to be honest with you. Cause I'm really bad about, being a small business owner. I wear a lot of hats and right now that hat is business owner number 1, shop manager, e-commerce, what do you want to call it? Website manager, order fulfillment manager, like my
speaking my language
here.
Here.
So, and I have really good employees that I trust and are vetted, that have worked for me for a lot of years. But when it just always happens, especially in a business where we're working on boats. When I'm on the road, unique issues come up that take my time. And that's just part of it. And unfortunately, I lose practice time because I am on the phone. I'm on the phone with customers. I'm on, the phone with my guys. Hey guys, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Like that does happen. And that's the unfortunate side to doing the fishing thing and being a business owner. And I know there's a lot of business owners in our league that I know deal with the same thing.
A lot of juggling going on.
And if you're involved in your business, it's not easy to pick up and leave. So I haven't figured, because there's been tournaments that I know for a fact, typical fisherman thing here, we make up some excuses, that I did poorly because it was a rough week with work.
A lot of stuff going on, dude.
Yeah. It's hard. Like, you get off the water, I got to fire up the laptop. I go on our Shopify platform. I see what orders went out, what didn't go out. Do I have emails? Is there customer service emails I need to respond to? All that kind of stuff. Because
we do, and living in this constant contact world where everybody can just get you all the time, and that's what makes you successful, but it stresses people out. Like, if they don't get a response very fast. I had a situation in studio this week, doing the commentary, and normally I'm like, phone on do not disturb, and for the most part we go Fridays and Saturdays. Well, Southern Boating, I always joke that Fridays are for fishing. I mean, I'm working most Fridays, but as far as customers and things, we don't hear from a lot of customers on Fridays, our OEM boat builders. But this week was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Thursday I'm there, and one of our best customers, big boat manufacturer, calls twice.
Not good. Follow-up calls are bad.
And I'm like, and it was quick. And I looked at Fat Cat and I mouthed like, I got to get up.
Yeah.
And so, and we don't get breaks anymore. It's kind of weird how we do it. And And so I turned my mic off, and I had to go out into the lobby of the studio and call them back. And they had something I had to handle, and I had to make another phone call. And I came back, and it was quick, but people are always like, well, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know either. Sometimes I don't know how you pull off. Wearing a lot of hats is crazy, man. And that small business, any small business owners listening, I think that is something I've learned, and why I respect you the way I do, on the water, off the water, like everything you're involved in now with the Southern boating life I'm living. I told a friend of mine this, an OEM customer of mine that's a great friend this week. He works for a really big company, and he's got a big role there. He's in charge of sourcing for this biggest boat manufacturer in the country, right? And I think y'all can all put two and two together who that is. And I told him this same thing this way. I said, dude, I have more respect for you now than ever before.
Now that you're involved with it.
Yeah, because I was just always sales guy, and I managed people. And I was like, I'm good at those things. I got that. I worked in marketing too. I'm like, stuff's not hard. But when it comes like, and you're now the purchasing guy, that's sourcing guy, I've got to find out where to get this. I need a screw for this one part. Okay. Oh gosh.
Yep.
Because we had a team of people that did that. A lot of dear friends of mine still working for my former company that were great at that kind of stuff. And I text them the same thing a lot. Like, dude, I respect
newfound respect.
Yeah, man.
That's a problem I run into with my business is I'll get a text from the guys, hey, we're out of this. And I'm like, oh, great.
So you got to go fight. You got to
log in, get stuff ordered. It happened this week.
It.
They were like, hey, we're out of XYZ DEMA parts. I'm like, that's not good. But yeah, I think the hardest thing right now about small business, and this is something that is a big, with the new building we're getting set up, and a big goal for me going forward is the era of, I call it the Amazon era. Everyone has that expectation that any business should operate like Amazon, which is you place an order. It tells you to a T what time that thing shows up to your house, or a range, I should say. And it ships the next day, or it ships within the hour, right? In reality, as a small business owner, you get the order. It might be at 4:55 p.m. and you got to go to dinner with your wife at 5:30 p.m.
Kids got a ball game. Yeah, whatever.
You don't see the order till the next morning, and then you got to pack it. You got to print the label. You got to do all that good stuff, and it's a day process just to get an order out.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the big thing. As a business owner that is tough. Fishing is still trying to keep up with that expectation of customer service when you're when you're out and about.
Like this week, and I've got some good help. Like you're saying, you got good help. I got some good help as well. But like this week, I got to turn around and go to Icast. So I had an NPFL week, and I'm not bitching about any of this. I don't want people.
Yeah, I'm not complaining either.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to take that as such. Like it does get sometimes like I can't sleep because I'm overwhelmed
100%.
with, oh my gosh, I got to check this box, check this box before I go back to the airport to do this. And so you do run my journey is well documented on here, where I've been and where I'm at now. And I'll take this life any day over what I was doing before. But it is interesting trying to balance because used to, man, I could deal with my customers when I'd go to an NPFL or there was no big deal. Hey,
Yep.
Gotcha. Somebody else is, we got a full customer service team and a full shipping department.
Yep.
I got my back, and now you're the guy, they're going to call you. So
it's tough.
One of the many reasons I respect you, just seeing what you've done. And Sonar Pros, if y'all don't know, and I've had Trent on before, one of my favorite podcasts we did last year was after he won. Great conversation.
We got to do it twice.
Yeah, we did get to do I can't remember if I broke down the wall and admitted that or not on that show. Maybe we did.
I don't think you did, but we're calling it out now.
I wish I was close to my bleep button so I could really say what I want to say right now to you, TP. But so last year he's driving home from Saginaw Bay with his fiance. Just wins the biggest tournament of his life. We do a 50-minute conversation that was truly one of my favorite conversations I've ever done on this show. And it didn't record.
Yeah. You call me back and you're like, hey, you're going to really hate me.
Oh man. I walked in the house. I packed up my MacBook out here. I was going to go in the house, hang with the family and edit. And oh God, oh no. And I came back to the bar and grill and I called Trent and I said, you driving for a while, bud?
Yeah. Luckily it's a far drive, so it killed some time.
And the thing is, with all the lowlifers listening to the show and watching the show, they believe that. You had to record it twice. I had to do that one other time, and it was with Burge. And it was with Burge on and I can't remember. There was a controversy. He was caught up in BPT drama kind of stuff, and he had done
the bridge thing.
No.
The drain plug?
No, we didn't do one after that. No, this was like 2 years ago.
Oh, gotcha.
I can't remember what it was, but dude, he was passionate, and it was great.
Yeah.
And something went wrong. Something went haywire with my audio software halfway through, and I didn't know it because I was into the interview and I didn't see. You'll see me like checking over. I constantly check to make sure we're still going.
Well, since we had that experience, I've been glancing at it, seeing if it's rolling.
It kind of stopped. It kind of hung for a second a while ago, and I thought, did the damn thing stop working? But yeah, I had to call Burge back. Same thing, and dude, I wanted to throw up. Yeah. I'm like, hey man, bad news. And he said, are you freaking kidding me? And I said, and he did it. It was different. Like the second interview was different.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm lying. I did that 3 times. Seth Fighter was another one. I've had that happen 3 times over 7 years. Fighter, you.
That's pretty low percentage.
Yeah, that's for low budget live. Yeah, that's a low percentage. Trust me, because people don't even know the technical bull crap that happens around here.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Always some crap. Talk about Sonar Pros and your growth and how you've kind of faced that, because I think what cripples a lot of small businesses in a sense is growth, right? Like if you grow too fast, you see that it can actually be overwhelming, but it can be overwhelming from a financial standpoint too, right?
Yep.
But you have chosen to fully invest. You've got more people. You've got a bigger space now. How has that journey been though, from start to now?
Yeah. So Sonar Pros is interesting because I think on the last podcast we talked about it, but to not go crazy in depth in it, but I, rigged boats on the side through college as far as like my own boat, buddies' boats, and then kicked off the business right before COVID, just operating out of my garage and driveway. Just, hey, you need your boat rigged?
I'm your guy. Yeah.
I'm your guy. Then COVID hit. That turned into, and I had a corporate sales role that I did overlapping with Sonar Pros for many years. And when COVID hit, I went and got a commercial space, which was about 1,800 square feet roughly. And we operated out of there for 5 years, doing anywhere from 10 to 15 boats a week out of that little shop. And I think the hardest thing for me was the big step for my business is just physical space. More space to manufacture more wiring harnesses, more space to rig more boats. I've got a pretty good system as far as hiring employees that don't have experience and training them in my method. So that part of the business is very polished. So if I can get more space, I can hire more folks, do more boats, so on and so forth. So I think the biggest thing with growth for me was the hardest thing is just that financial investment to get a bigger space. I mean, it's terrifying to make your overhead go from down here to here. And like even just seeing where my payroll used to be to where it is now is just as terrifying. So I think just taking those steps is the hardest thing, and knowing that I got to do X, Y, and Z to increase how many boats we actually get per week and how many online orders we get to sustain, our new overhead. And it's crazy to go from where I was getting home from my corporate job, working on boats till 2 a.m., hand making harnesses in my garage where to measure wire, I used to have blue tape on my garage floor to indicate, all right, this boat, your make and model needs this length of wire for this harness that I'm going to make and ship to this guy back in like 18, 19 range. And to see it now where we have a whole room just for building wiring harnesses, and I got 2 employees up there that all they do is build harnesses all day. It's been crazy. And
it's been pretty quick. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, that sounds like a long time, but it's really not in the way phases of a business.
I kind of hit the niche of, I kept seeing buddies get, even before I officially made Sonar Pros, but buddies would buy new boats. They might have been rigged by the dealer. They might have been rigged by the guy who bought the boat. They might have been rigged by their buddy Bob down the street. I just kept seeing a lot of bad work, and people can, you see it on, especially now with the Facebook world, people on these Lowrance and Garmin and Humminbird groups that are like, what settings do I need to get this good picture?
Yeah.
I don't get the picture all you guys do.
Why do I have this fuzz right here? What's this interference?
Literally just comes down to a good install. You can have out-of-box settings and everything will run just fine. I tell everyone that. There's no secret settings. I'll put settings in your graphs that will enhance its performance, but there's no secret settings to make this stuff work other than a good, clean install. And we've been very fortunate where still to this day, a lot of our business is word of mouth. Just good quality work, good quality pictures. And Yeah. Now the big thing we've been doing here lately is a lot of new. I worked my videographer guy and we worked really hard for 6 months building up a bunch of content. So
yeah, I've been seeing it.
Been rolling a bunch of content here lately.
And you said you weren't a content guy, and I think you're a marketing genius.
Yeah.
I see you're probably going to get hired from Hollywood, dude. I see the videos. See you out there. Male modeling.
I can talk about boat stuff all day. I know all the little. I mean, you and I get on. Get on some deep conversations about fittings and stuff.
And I think, from fittings to you name it. We should do a podcast. We should do a boat podcast.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about.
I'm a nerd about bass boats.
I've been thinking about. I just don't know how deep you could go content wise, but even if you did, I'm giving away ideas right here on the podcast for somebody else to do a podcast. But I've thought, because I get like the prototypical, I get a lot of questions, where you can make a post. People are like, well, I get a lot of questions about what rod I use.
I get a lot of DMs.
Yeah, I get a lot of DMs about, but I truly do. You get a lot of questions about, man, how do you have that rigged? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? And spending some time with you in your shop, but you and I talk a good bit. I learned so much from you. I have a different area of expertise when it comes to boats, like more live well kind of stuff over the years. That's what I dealt with more than wiring harnesses and graphs and all that. And it is fun kind of putting those two together. So, in the comments, if you think there needs to be a float your boat, there you go. Got the
Float Your Boat
podcast brought to you by Sonar Pros and Southern Boating Supply.
We can get nerdy about some DC voltage.
He can for sure. I'll just sit here and go, and I'll play sound effects when he says something that's cool.
That's funny.
I'll have to ask him, hey, was that cool what you just said? Yeah. I just blew their minds, and I'll hit the button. I'll bring my buddy Josh Butts. Josh likes to push the buttons. We'll have Josh run the board for us.
That'd be cool.
For the Float Your Boat podcast. Well, man, I'm proud to see everything going well. And our paths are kind of similar in the fact that you talk about that corporate sales job. You were doing that in conjunction with Sonar Pros, and now you're full-time Sonar Pros, right?
Yep, full-time.
Just this year, though, right? Because it wasn't
this year.
long ago we were talking. When was your official last day there?
About 6 weeks ago.
Okay, so I was going to say it's recent.
Recent, yep.
Well, congrats on that, dude, because that is something that I've been very open about on this show. It was interesting. I did Trent and Chris Aldane's The Bilge podcast, and I was talking about my journey there, too, and the amount of messages from people and DMs that are like, man, your story has inspired me, or I was already on the fence about, man, I just do not like my life. I don't like the job I have. I have other passions. And man, I will tell you, just like this man is telling you, it is not easy at all. It's terrifying.
Yep.
Dude, I'm scared every day. But to be fair, I always have been. I'm a guy that, I feel like that's what, I don't want to call myself successful, but that's what keeps me going, keeps me moving, keeps me like, people are like, man, why do you accept all these opportunities? Because I'm very fortunate, blessed to have the Alabama Bass Trail call me, or NPFL, or people that listen to this podcast, or people that want to buy boat parts, whatever the case is. But being hungry, like I've just always been that way, man, and scared that it could go away tomorrow. And I think being a little scared in life is okay, but 100%. It is a scary, scary step to go, I'm going to cut the cord, man, here we go.
Yeah.
Going on my own.
It's smart, though, to have as many irons in the fire as you can, in my opinion, to an extent. I mean, you can spread yourself too thin at some points, but to find a niche like you have where you're starting a new business, but then you also have these other avenues with NPFL and the Alabama Bass Trail, that's I think the right way to do it.
And they're all they're interconnected, intertwined. All the conversations are basically the same for the most part.
And as you know, like growing a business, or even just the sales side of your business, is relationships and just being at those type of events.
That's
you never know who you're going to meet. There could be a boat OEM there
that's right.
that he's fishing the ABT just because he wants to fish a tournament for the weekend. Like that, a big aspect of any business is relationship.
Yeah, and it's like with Icast coming up.
Yep.
Icast is and I opened the show. It's my least favorite show. Like I love seeing my buddies, but it has changed dramatically in the last, say, 5 years.
Changed a bunch.
But I feel like if I'm not in that building, you never know. I have had some really cool things happen in that building that led to awesome relationships, conversations I never thought would take place. So you just never know. Like being there, because it's everybody kind of in the industry all in one space, in the fishing side of it. And a lot of what I do, obviously, like you, is in the boating world, but a lot of people in that building. I mean, I'll give you an example. You talk about a boat builder. last year at Icast, walked around the corner and my buddy Gary Klaus is standing there, like the owner of Phoenix Boats. Oh, which he's also obviously a former Elite Series fisherman now, but very in tune in the fishing world. But he's standing over there.
Yep.
And it's a good place to hang with Gary and talk
100%.
about business and that kind of thing. So you never know who you're going to walk around the
100%.
corner and run into. I also ran into Coach Jimmy Johnson that used to coach the Cowboys in the Garmin booth one time.
Oh, that's cool.
That was cool. And I'll tell this story on, I'll call him an idiot being funny here, but idiot Jason Lambert. Jason, I'm still pissed at him for this. I was like, oh my God, Jimmy Johnson. And I walk up, got to shake his hand. Lambert is talking to him, and Bill Dance is down there. So it's Jimmy Johnson, Bill Dance, Lambert, a couple buddies of mine from Garmin, and Lambert goes, hey, man, you care to take my picture with the coach and Bill? And I'm like, hell yeah. And I'm thinking, as long as you return the favor, you know, and I'm like, y'all smile. And, dude, the second we took that picture, Jimmy Johnson
Left.
skirt, gone.
No.
And I didn't get a picture with Jimmy Johnson. And screw you, Jason Lambert. I love Jason Lambert, but screw you. That was not cool. I call him an idiot for that. Like, just because I'm like, he was like, hey, man,
That's
care to
wrong.
take my picture with Jimmy Johnson and Bill Dance? And he got away. Jimmy Johnson, he was a Dolphin at one point, so he's slippery, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, ran into Jimmy Johnson. You never know, man. You see
You're
all
gonna
kind
see
of
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen the
There's
guys from
there's-
Wicked Tuna.
So many, so
Weird stuff.
the I don't know him at all. I see him, but Lucas Black,
Yeah, no, Lucas.
I don't know him
Yeah,
at all, but
yeah.
my other passion is cars.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the OG Fast and Furious
man.
movies. Now, granted, he was in Tokyo Drift, which it was okay one. But yeah, seeing that he's involved in, he's a tournament angler now is
He
the
just
coolest
cashed a
thing
check
ever to
at,
me.
the Toyota series
Yeah,
at
at Champlain.
Champlain.
Yeah.
So his brother Lee is like a Smith Lake hammer.
Oh, really?
They grew up. Yeah, he's from Coleman, Alabama.
He lives in Georgia, right?
He does now. Yeah, but he's a Coleman, like Smith Lake boy. Like
Oh,
knows
really?
Smith inside and out. Him and
That's
his
cool.
brother are crazy about bass fishing, but he fishes the Alabama Bass Trail 100. Yeah, I got to weigh him in.
That's cool.
I got to weigh him in over at Weiss Lake. He missed the first one because he was filming. Our first one was at Logan Martin in the cold.
Yeah.
And he missed that one, but he was at Weiss and caught a pretty good bag, but just awesome. But he's doing like the fishing YouTube stuff, man.
That's cool.
He's all about
Yeah.
some dang bass
That's
fishing.
cool.
He's got a skeeter.
Yeah.
Lucas Black. If you don't follow Lucas Black, he was also my favorite movie that he was ever in. Was when he was a child, and it was Sling Blade.
Oh, really? I
He's
didn't
the
know
little
that.
boy in Sling Blade.
Oh, wow.
He's the one that Billy Bob Thornton said, "You just a boy. You ought
Yeah.
not talk like that." That was Lucas
Yeah.
Black he was talking to.
Also, everyone knows his. Actually, I can't think of his name right now. Lead singer from the band Stained, but now he's
Aaron Lewis.
Aaron Lewis.
Yeah.
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 Big swim bait guy.
Big swim bait guy runs around with Byron Childers from
Yeah.
Missile Baits. They're like
Yeah.
bros.
cool.
Yeah, he's right up the road. Got some little local lakes here that are pretty good
Yeah.
at times. And Aaron sneaks around.
Sneaks over
he
there.
sneaks around these
Yeah,
parts a
that's
little
cool.
bit. It's been a while. That guy. And country
Everyone
music guy
knows
now.
him from country now, but
Yeah, but I'm
that 90s,
yeah.
early 2000 rock is my favorite.
I was a 90s baby. Of course, I'm a little older than you, but I was a 90s. I'm a grunge,
Yes.
you know. I said this week,
Mike is a big Creed fan. Corbishley is.
Creed?
Yeah.
Corbishley likes Creed.
He was singing it every morning. Well, morning. Yeah. Take me home.
I want Corbishley back on the show.
He'll sing some Creed.
He
loves Creed.
Really?
Yeah, big Creed fan.
no offense to anybody who likes Creed. It's just, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't-
50-50. It's kind of like saying you like Nickelback.
There's a documentary, and I love that we're getting random right now because that's why I love in person, because I just love conversations. There's a documentary on Netflix. I think it's Netflix. Maybe it's Hulu. Anyways, that's about Nickelback and the hate for Nickelback. And Nickelback,
But everyone
is in the
likes it.
document.
Everyone
Everybody
secretly likes
loves Nickelback. But dude, I want to watch it so bad because
I'll have to watch that.
they're a freaking. I haven't seen it yet, but it keeps popping up on Facebook. I think it's Netflix, but they're a punchline all the time.
Yeah,
It's like,
literally.
oh, you like Nickelback?
Nickelback? Yeah.
Nickelback?
Yeah.
Nickelback? I told Fat Cat one time that I like John Mayer. John Mayer fan, songwriter,
Yeah.
guitar player. He's a badass, whatever. I don't care if you don't like him. If you base your opinion on John Mayer after Your Body is a Wonderland from back when I was in college, then that ain't it. John's a freaking nature on guitar. But I was telling Fat Cat one time, in fact, I want to start by saying Fat Cat's musical, we don't jive on a lot of music. We do on some, but there are things we don't connect on musically that he likes that I don't, whatever. And I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
ADD with music, man.
Same.
Like this week was awesome because Eminem has a new album and Sturgill Simpson. Like
Yes.
my old ass is happy this week. And I've been listening to both a bunch since they came out. But Fat Cat and I were having dinner one day in Wisconsin after we got out of the studio. And I was talking about Mayer. And I was fixing to take my 16-year-old loves John. And I was fixing to take Hudson to his first Mayer show. I was like, getting geeked up. I was like, dude, we're going to Mayer next week. And he's like,
What?
the level of insults he hurled my way. And then he goes, well, you like Sugar Ray too? Sugar Ray? He's like, I just want to fly. You like Sugar Ray? I'm like, bro, that is not like John Mayer
Yeah, that's hilarious.
at all. But and he'll always go, what you been doing? Riding around crying, listening to John Mayer and Sugar Ray? Like, he'll say that to me to this day. Idiot. My friends are all idiots, but he definitely gives me a hard time.
That's like, I have a wide vocabulary when it comes to music, but like what cracks me up is Todd Goad.
He is
a huge, and Todd's, I don't know, I guess he's late 40s or 50s.
I think he's 50. I'll put Todd at 50. I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that, Todd,
could
but
be wrong.
I think he's 50.
Huge Lil Wayne fan.
Loves it.
Yeah. Will
Quoted it on this show, buddy.
any song that Lil Wayne has, which my favorite album is the Carter 3, he will
It's a good one.
sing you the entire thing.
That's a good one.
Or rap it, I should say.
And a lot of y'all watch it. When you grow up in the South, in my opinion, my mixed CDs in my truck were like Hank Jr. Like track 1 might have been like Dinosaur by Hank Jr. And then track 2 was Jay-Z, like Big Pimpin'.
Yes.
When I was in high school.
Well, I was in
and then
that-
like Linkin Park or something.
I was of the age range, because I was born in 91. I was of the age range where we nuked the family computer downloading music off
LimeWire.
LimeWire. Yeah, and burning CDs. So it was whatever you could get on there. And the unfortunate thing is you download a song and there'd be like a DJ riff in the middle of it.
Yeah. I ruined my family computer through LimeWire, but not downloading music. Just like every other friend of mine in college, like, dude, do you know what you can get on here? And now it's just all on your phone, dude.
Yeah.
Now it's just all on your phone. You don't even have to ruin your family's computer at all. My dad, one time, he said, listen, you get that LimeWire
Off this computer.
off this damn family computer. Those are the days, man.
Oh, it was great.
And now everything's just right there. It's that constant content world that we're talking about. It's just like, boop, right there.
I remember the old days of going on iTunes and buying albums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro. So listen, you're 8 years younger than me. I was born in 83. Everybody listening right now is like, iTunes, all my older low
They're not gonna
lifers.
know what that means.
We had truly like record stores here in town.
Yeah.
So I remember being like, and always been obsessed with music my whole life, but being like 12 and 13 and get my grandmother to take me. There was a store called On Cue here. It was a chain store, and they sold movies and they sold CDs, and you had to pre-order. Like if Metallica was fixing to drop a new one, dude, you
pre-order
better
it.
go like a month out.
Yeah.
It was the same with video games. They sold
Yeah, I was
video
gonna
games
say.
too. So it was the same way. And I would con my grandma Duncan, because my parents were like, we're not doing that. Like I remember buying like a Marilyn Manson CD. Like I thought I was a badass. I was
Yeah.
like in the 8th grade, and then my mom found it and threw it in the trash. And then I got my grandmother to take me back.
That's that bad music.
For sure. Beautiful people.
Yeah.
I was rocking it in my room when my folks were at work.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, it's definitely not what I'm listening to. I'm listening to Third Day or whatever, contemporary Christian. Definitely not listening to Marilyn Manson
That's a no.
in my bedroom. I don't look like a Marilyn Manson guy, but like I really liked rock. And you know, Green Day. It was like a whole
I was a
hodgepodge.
huge Linkin Park fan.
Yeah, I got into that in high school.
Yeah.
I was a Linkin Park guy, for sure. Like, dude, there was but I go really like the early 90s grunge there. I was Nirvana and all that. I mean, like, dude, Nirvana, Weezer, the Toadies. Gosh, so many more. Oh, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, like all that was like kind of what I came up on. But at the same time, I also listened to country, like back then. Like I was a big 90s.
I
country
literally
guy.
listen to everything.
I'm the same way, but yeah, I was texting Marissa actually from the plane this morning, and I said, I think it speaks to my musical ADD, the fact that I'm so unbelievably excited for the new Eminem and Sturgill Simpson that both dropped on the same day. And I'm like, bouncing back and
What do I
forth
get?
between those two.
Yeah, that's great.
What in the world? But that's true. That's every day, man. Every day. And I knew you're a Lil Wayne guy because when you won last year, I think it was Lil Wayne that you guys listened to. I'm pretty sure I remember that. You and Patrick, you had boat issues. You had motor issues.
Yeah, idle and listen to Lil Wayne.
And Patrick brought you in, which was a very cool part of that story.
100%.
And then you said y'all talked a little bit, but then you had a long idle and y'all just got quiet and listened to Lil Wayne.
Yep.
Very cool.
Carter 3.
Are you confident going back to fishing? Are you confident going back to Saginaw with that win? I mean, obviously you spent a lot of time up there now. You've got 2 very good finishes. Do you think, is that a place that changes a lot? Or
if I go back 2 years back to back, where I caught them, how I caught them was pretty similar in the sense.
Okay.
Specifically even a spot. I am excited to expand beyond what we've learned in 2 years because it is a very vast area. And you unfortunately, especially because we got a lot of new guys in the field this year that haven't been there, you see the weight we caught last year and your expectation is we caught a ton of fish. I think that last day I caught 8.
Yeah.
There is not a lot of smallmouth on that time of year.
Yeah.
I do know in the fall and spring there is a big flood that comes in from
for sure.
here on. Because even though Saginaw Bay is a bay, it is bigger than the bay is bigger than Lake Okeechobee, but I think the smallmouth still treat it like an actual bay.
Okay.
Even though it's giant. But I'm excited. I am very confident going back there. I'm going to do a little pre-practice in there just to kind of cut down the time as far as exploring and looking for stuff.
For new stuff.
Yeah. But, at the same time, too, I don't think, like last year, if my memory serves me right, it was really rough the first day. And there was probably about 15 boats that were running out with me, Patrick, and Mike. Me, Patrick, and Mike were the only ones that made it out there.
I remember that.
And I think we'll have more pressure this year, which will be a factor. I think that's
more boats this year too.
More boats in the field. Yeah. I think that's the only thing I'm a little worried about is just boat pressure.
Okay.
Especially because there was, a Bass Pro Tour event there last year that showcased some techniques and how to catch them. So we just got to, in this situation, we just have to have, we got to have more on the agenda as far as places to be able to fish.
Yeah, I remember the first year we went and you had to call an audible because it got so rough on day 2 and you punted, caught largemouth, and you still came up just barely.
Well, what's crazy,
short, man.
that first year, and I think I said it on live, I assumed they stopped biting when the water started rolling and it just got things turbulent around in those areas. Well, last year I learned how to catch them in that stuff. So that was
said with a smile.
That was a big change, is figuring out what they did on that body of water when the weather came in, because when I was growing up, I fished Champlain a lot in a small lake over in Wisconsin. So I have a lot of history with smallmouth, and they, for whatever reason on that lake, they do stuff a little different when weather rolls in. So I think after last year, we're just going to compound that knowledge to battle all conditions, because that is a place that if you are not prepared to get in the big stuff, you're not going to do well.
Yeah, that's a fact. Tied with Pickwick for our favorite venue. We've been there 3 times. We've been to Pickwick 3 times.
It's such an incredible. I get married this November, and if it wasn't on the schedule this year, I was half tempted to have my bachelor party up there just for the simple fact,
cool.
not smallmouth fishing.
Oh,
for the simple fact, you can go to the bank with a swim jig and catch hundreds of largemouth.
It's wild.
And it looks like you're on Okeechobee. But there's actually bass everywhere. It is crazy.
Everywhere you stop, you can get a bite.
And there's great food out there. It's a cool little place.
Yeah, Bay City, Michigan is a really cool spot. Zona's told me about it for years, and then we went and really exposed it, with NPFL Pro. And that first year, there's a lot of largemouth in the mix.
A pile. The water was higher, so it was a little better than. I haven't looked at the conditions as far as water level this year. I hope it's high, so the largemouth fishing is incredible, and people want to do that. But
more water. Well, I know in Wisconsin, which I know that's
a lot of water.
A lot of water up there. A lot of water.
Pile. Yeah, I was just a couple weeks ago at our family lake house in Wisconsin, and that's the highest I've ever seen that lake up there.
Yeah, they've had a lot of flooding up there. It's rare that you see water out in fields next to creeks. And my whole drive up from Milwaukee to Appleton, it was a lot of flooding.
And we're going a month later this year, so I really don't know exactly if that's going to have an impact. I think it's really going to be weather dependent, honestly. I don't know if it's going to, because we're going in a month, 5 weeks.
About 5 weeks.
Yeah, I think I think it'll be pretty hot. I don't think we're going to have a big cold front or anything like that.
No, it should be, but fishing will be on fire.
It should be good. Yeah.
Let's talk about, speaking of on fire, Pickwick Lake in July. The only thing that we thought was going to be on fire, most likely, when that schedule came out, and everybody's giving us crap for going there in July.
Great event.
Dude, born and raised here, you can see damn expensive wooden map right over your shoulder. It's one of my favorite places.
Funny enough, I have one of these in my office.
Do you have Pickwick?
So in college, my favorite lake to fish, because we had the Boat US National Championship.
Yeah, that's every year.
Is Pickwick.
Yeah.
And a gift that was given to me by, I think my mom got it for me, was a cutout of
that's awesome.
Lake Pickwick. Yeah.
So no,
it's really not that, but on here, it's really not that appealing of a lake looking.
No, it doesn't look, but it is.
It is.
When you're
It's
an
a great
offshore
lake.
guy,
Yeah.
it's very appealing, but man, just absolutely blown away. My phone has blown up this week with local buddies of mine.
Really?
My dad, my brother, even guys like Justin Atkins, who are Elite Series Pro, know the lake well. And he's like, dude, I'll be honest with you. I'm glad I'm not tangling with these boys this week because it's like they're on another lake. It truly blew a lot of people's minds. I mean, we saw a 910 for big bass.
Giant.
Unbelievable. 26-pound bag, biggest bag of the tournament
In
on the last day. In July, dude.
Wild.
A 910. This year, Pickwick's kicked out several over 9 in tournaments. So there's been a couple 11s. And I actually sat on live yesterday, and I called Fat Cat last night to make sure he knew there was a 910 because I said, dude, the big bat power pole big bass was like 714 Brock Bila. And I said, it could get broken today. Dude. And I said, bro, there are like 8s and 9s and 10s that swim here. So you never know. 9, 10.
I got another podcast idea for you.
Okay.
Not to interrupt. You and Fat Cat sidebar.
Oh, man.
In studio.
Buddy. First of all, we would get canceled. He calls me out yesterday. I'm glad you said this. So Patrick we've got all kind of nicknames for him, just like we do your house, and I want to get to that too.
Yeah.
But the House of Heroes is what we call these guys, and I call them the Avengers because they just show up and just wreck house. But Patrick is, a lot of people call him the coach. We call him coach. But I call him Dream Crusher because
That's a good one. I think that's my favorite one.
Dream Crusher I came up with when we were at Santee last year, and Todd Goat is having the event of his freaking life, and he's so fired up on camera, and Patrick's just like, yeah, I'm just fixing to just win. He's just being Patrick, and I'm like, Dream Crusher. And Will Harkins was in the mix, and it was the same at Lanier. Harkins is leading, and then all of a sudden here comes Dream Crusher, and Patrick gets his little mustache and his freaking, he's got
a posture when he has a posture, and it's even noticeable at the house. Like
I guarantee
after the first day, Cook came to me. He goes, "Pat's going to beat me this week," and I said, "Yeah."
And Cook was leading day one.
I was like, "He's like, I really want to take one." He's like, "I'm not going to let Pat beat me." And I think after day 2, he was like, "I got to catch him or take away from Pat." And we just all commented like he had that posture about him. Dude. After day 2, he went to bed early, and that's normally a red flag. If he goes to bed early, he just sneaks off from the powwow talk and just kind of goes to bed.
You're cooked.
Someone's in trouble.
You're right. There's a demeanor because there's also a demeanor because I've talked to him a ton since he's been in the league. Knew him before then, but now we talk shop a lot just because I'm doing the show and trying to get details from him. He's also a liar. If anybody wants to know,
huge liar,
huge liar. Not like a bad person liar.
No, just weight wise.
Don't ask him about weights and don't ask him about baits and don't.
No.
And rightfully so. We live in a world where your stuff's exposed. He's very good at protecting.
It's hard to keep secrets.
Yes, he's very good at protecting things. But there are weeks when I talk to him and he's like 5th after the first day or 6th or whatever that you can tell. Like, yeah, he's not really feeling it. There's a couple times I've been like, yeah, he's going to have a good one. But dude, when there's a tone when it changes. And the only thing I can compare it to is I watched so many Kevin Van Dam tournaments growing up. And he had that look and Hackney gets it too. Hackney's a guy when he's really dialed.
It's like a rhythm. That's
for sure. But with Pat, it's like on final days, he gets quiet on live. There's this deal he does, and you go, this is his ball game.
Yeah.
Like it's just a matter of time. And Fat Cat, though, in studio, and you said the sidebar conversation. So he caught 4 really quick and 2 good ones. And he said on live, he goes, well, those are 2 weighers. And when he calls them weighers, I was like, eesh. and he didn't say, and of course he's like, oh, this is like a 2.5. I'm like, well, no, actually it was like a 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'll look at Fat Cat, camera's not on us, and I go, and so I did that like every time he called a big, because dude, before like we went live at 12. So by like 1:30,
He had his way.
he was cooking.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I kept going. And you try to build drama a little bit.
Yeah.
And he hadn't way live. He had 17. I was like, dog, he's got more than 20. Like, this thing is over, because Isaac was struggling.
Yeah.
And Isaac was only 9 ounces off, and Cookie was a pound 11.
Pound something.
So I was
Yeah.
like, they had a chance.
Yeah.
But there was just something about, in his morning interview on day 2, he looked at Big Al and said, yeah, it's one of those deals. I had 20 pounds, 6 ounces yesterday. I got to have like 24, 25 today.
And he did.
And he had 26 with a dead one, 4 ounces, 25, 15. And immediately started catching them when we went on live. And I'm like,
Not good.
and Cook, now we'll be on, same thing though. Drew had, and he finished second. Drew had, when I talked to him, that's my favorite part about getting to do this, is talk to you guys in these moments. But Drew had this swagger also though, after night 1, because he had
a very good day.
He had a very good day, and he had
And he was catching them the way he wanted to.
yes,
That's the important.
And he had a very good spot.
Yes.
Also, that was sneaky, and he said, "Dude, if I can roll up and they bite quick, I'm going to be done fast."
Yep.
And on day 2, he wasn't done fast. Now he caught the crap out of him. He put on a show on live. He caught a big one as soon as he pulled up.
No real giants.
No big ones, and immediately you can see his demeanor changed. But he had this interaction with Pat on the water. He moved, and
The worst.
yes, that's where I'm going with all this.
Yeah.
How bad is he to deal with? Because he, Fat Cat calls him the Intimidator, like Earnhardt. That's another nickname for him that we say. He's even got the Earnhardt mustache.
Yeah. If you're in contention, he's not going to tell you the truth.
He loves to play head games, right?
Did you see when I pulled up on him day 3?
Yes.
Did you see what he did?
Yes.
Where he put his hand, because there was a competitor behind us, and I said, "What you got?" And he goes, and he points, and then he holds up to me and he goes, 2. And I look at my camera guy, go, "Yeah, he's got like 24."
Yeah.
He's like, "But he said 22." I said, "No,
No, he doesn't.
He's got 24."
No, he doesn't. He pulled up on Cook on day 2, and he's like, "What do you got?" And he goes, just decent bag. And Drew goes, "What is it?" And he's like, "Just decent." And he goes, "Dude,
What is
and he
it?
goes, "My scales say 22.15." And Drew just goes, kind of sunk. And he goes, "Are you kidding me?" And Drew's demeanor kind of changed a little bit. And I'm reminding people like, hey, these are friends. I mean, he wasn't mad or anything, but you can, like, it sucks hearing that. It's like you pulling up on Kimmel and going, "Yeah, dude, I got a bag." Well, man, I only got 2. Like it's does.
Tough.
Hearing that when you're struggling, you're like, well, damn, I think the bite's just off today. Like, no.
That's like Kimmel's a great angler, and
Yeah.
but you can, it's so like, and I've been in that position before. Like I had a horrible event at Santee Cooper last year, and it was the same thing. Great practice, caught fish. Kimmel had a great practice. Kimmel had a great day 1. It just, you can, zig when you're supposed to zag, and it's that small of a difference.
Man, it really is.
I had David Williams pull up on me on my spot yesterday, and I was like, "You got him, David?" He's like, "I got 1." And I was like, "Well," I kind of told him, like, "You can catch." He's like, "Am I gonna get in your way?" I said, No. Like, catch some through here. And what he was throwing, I don't think they would bite, because I had to sit there and shake them to get them to bite, type deal. And it's, I don't know. It's so easy just to be that margin off from it.
Oh, it's a game.
And Pickwick's a different lake than I mean, the last time I fished it was 2016, when it was still a ledge lake. I don't think. And actually, on the way here, I was talking to my good friend Rob Young. I didn't know this, but I guess there's a new nuclear plant, somewhat newer nuclear plant related around here.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's what he told me, and that's a reason why the generation's gone down in the lake is because.
Okay, well, no, I don't. I think they're just started utilizing it more. Utilizing it more for sure.
I guess now that's more
way down.
That's more efficient than doing the turbines on the lakes.
Yes.
So that's why there's just not the current pull there used to be.
We haven't had the flow. Really, I guess it's like 3rd summer in a row where it's just sucked.
Because what really, like, to have the ledge schools, 50,000 units.
Yeah, 50,000 cubic feet per second. Like this week on average, it was like 10,000 at times. It would get to 20.
It got up to like 38
yesterday.
Day 2?
Day 2 was more than day 3. Yesterday, I think it was like 27,000 before we went off. It's not much.
A lot.
I always joke that you could like truly pour piss out of a boot and make more when it's like 5,000.
I mean, there's still water moving. Like when you're running the lake,
sure.
you can see the current seams, but it ain't.
When they're running that out of both dams, it's like a little bit of movement, but there's a fine line between not enough, and then there's a fine line when it comes to lead fishing and too much too, because if it gets
blow them out.
Yeah, if we get flooding and that kind of thing, like they'll get off it because they can't hold out there. But that current being stout though, above, I would say not even 50, like a 30, 40 starts kind of, it'll position them. But I just think too, David Allen and I were talking about this. We live in a time, and this is something I wanted to ask you about as well, but we live in a time where those fish have been graphed so much, dude, on the community things that I think they adapt. I really do. Like they don't, people, oh man, we don't have the numbers we used to have. I'm like, dude, where'd they go? Did you see a bunch floating? Like they're here somewhere. They just changed what they're doing and we haven't figured it out. Now we have new technologies to be able to figure it out, but I just think we missed them for a couple years. And this year is the first year I've seen guys doing what you guys were doing. I saw the same in the ABT.
Not deep anymore.
No. And we still got fish. You saw that this week. We still got a lot of fish.
That's what we were talking about. Like, and I think practice, anytime this time of year you come to a TVA, like you're not fishing a lot. You're just looking.
That's right. You better be anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of looking. If you don't commit to that, you're just not going to do well in the tournament, honestly. But it was pretty evident for the first day for us. Like if you got a bite, it was a good one. It was at least a 3.5 and they were healthy. And I think a lot of it has to do with the grass not being there.
Yep.
And those fish are looking for somewhere else to go. That's not the ledge where they're going to get pinged to death.
They get rode over a lot. Speaking of electronics, what's next, Trent Palmer? I might have asked you this before.
What's next?
Like, what's the next? Where does it stop? Where, you know what I'm saying? Like, where are we going? Because right now, obviously the hot button topic.
Forward sonar.
Yeah. FFS. If I see one more guy comment, like I saw, there's a guy that's just a raging douchebag. I see this guy on seriously, he must sit and wait for Bass, MLF, or NPFL to make a post. Same guy every time, but under Patrick's wing, he's like, live scope money. And I'm like, damn right it was.
Sure was.
But also, he probably would win a lot. He used to without it, bud. He's a fantastic angler. But where are we headed technology-wise? Like, how much better can it get?
I think what I get frustrated with right now, before I answer that question, with the whole FFS stuff, is what I've yet to see, because I've seen dominant anglers in our industry that everyone uses the term old timers.
Yeah.
That are very against it and are publicly speaking about that. And what's frustrating to me is I think a big reason why this sonar is so dominant is our lakes are just getting overfished. Our sport has grown tremendously. I was in college. It took me 5 years to graduate because of fishing. I was in college from 2010 to 2015. So kind of the earlier days of college fishing when Jordan Lee, Matt Lee, Atkins was in the time frame. So college fishing back then, we'd have tournaments that were, maybe 100 boats. And now those college tournaments pull like 200-300 boats. Same thing. High school fishing used to be 50, 60 boats. Lanier, for example, every month, I think it's the last Sunday, there's some sort of, I don't remember the organization's name, but there is a high school tournament that pulls 300 boats just on Lake Lanier. And I think a big reason why you're seeing these dominant techniques with forward sonar is those fish have just had their brains beat in for the past few years as our sport has grown. And fish are adapting. They're getting off the bank. They're floating to get away from the pressure, and that bait is also getting pushed around. And the reason I think that's the case is I live on Lake Lanier, which is if you do not have forward sonar, you're just not competing out there.
Yeah,
you just won't find them where they're at now. In the old days of just like I'm gonna pull up this hump and throw up that brush. This brush pile is not the case anymore. And I think a big part of this, what a lot of people won't acknowledge right now with this whole ban FFS stuff is, we have kind of caused this because the sport has grown tremendously. And the other side of it is and transparently, I have a financial benefit for people. I was
going to say you and I are both I don't sell anything electronics related, but we're both in the industry, and
it benefits me for, you to put a live scope on your boat and have us sell it to you, install it, whatever. But what I think a lot of people don't realize either is a lot of the younger generation, like you and I were talking about it earlier, like I grew up in the era of the video game systems, right? Coming up. And kids these days are way more addicted to their phones and computers and all that stuff. And I think the video game fishing is kind of this interesting bypass to get people
bridge the gap
out of their house, but still give that. I'm going to just call it a screen addiction is pretty much what it is, right? And I think that's what I get frustrated about is we have this huge spike now in people wanting to fish tournaments because of forward sonar and whatnot, and it's getting more boat sales. You know, I can't even tell you how many boats I rig for high school and college anglers that would not have been buyers 5-10 years ago. But to see everyone getting frustrated because we need to ban FFS, if we do that, I truly believe we're about to axe 30% of the market out.
I have said the same with in regard to tournament organizations, because I do think, and this will be a controversial, I feel like, statement that I'm going to make, but I do feel like the first tournament organization to do it is going to cut off their nose to spite their face. Like, you're going to appease some,
yes,
but you are going to absolutely potentially cut out a lot of future pros.
Well, and they're getting pressure from, I'm sure, anglers and viewers giving feedback.
Yeah. And I get it.
But generally speaking, the negative comments, like, you'll have 10 people that are negative, but 100 people that are positive. It's no different. You go online and look at reviews of
whatever
something,
it is,
and 9 times out of 10, you're hearing from the 10 people that had a bad experience, but you don't hear from the 1,000 other people that had a good experience.
I had a teacher in Miss Donna Yancey, a retailing professor at University of North Alabama. She said, understand this, when you work in sales, retail, she said, you make someone happy, you do a great job, they'll tell one person. You piss them off, they'll tell 100. And
yeah, literally,
that's it, man. Like, that's just squeaky wheel.
Yep.
You know, always.
I get there's people that are frustrated about it because it is. You have young anglers that are dominating with what is perceived as less experience. But the other funny thing about it, we talked about content and all that earlier, is for the past 10 years, these prominent anglers have made all this content available.
Gave it away.
And gave it away.
So sold their own souls.
Some of those anglers that are complaining are also some of the most that have a ton of content out there with companies like Bass U and all that kind of stuff. Like, they benefited from it, and we've talked about that on the show. But we gave it away. There's not a lot of secrets anymore.
We gave it all away.
And in the era of YouTube and all that, like, I remember when YouTube came out. Like, now it's kind of second nature for me to be like, oh, I need to do, like, I have this issue, I need to YouTube it. The kids that are 10 years or 15 years younger than me, they just digest information.
They don't watch anything else but YouTube. My 2 boys, Hudson and Ryder, my youngest, 13, almost 14, 16, going on 17. They don't watch Hulu, I mean, other than sports.
Oh, they watch YouTube.
They watch YouTube.
Yeah.
They have all their favorite channels.
Yep.
And they'll walk in sometimes and they're watching Seek One deer hunting.
Yep.
And I'll walk in another and they're watching some engineer build something crazy. Mark Rober. He's an engineering guy. Or they're watching, I mean, they've got just
all that stuff.
Whistling Diesel or what.
Like Whistling Diesel.
Oh, yeah. Like all these. I became really cool with my kids. There's a gentleman, Preston Henson, that fishes the Alabama Bass Trail, who is Whistling Diesel's next door neighbor. And he is in Whistling Diesel videos. I had no clue about this. Preston runs a General Lee wrapped boat in the ABT.
I love that.
Awesome. Big dude, kind of a mullet, big black beard, just big burly guy. He's cool. Cool as the other side of the pillow.
That's awesome.
And we were at the beach and my kids had a Whistling Diesel video pulled up on the TV. And I was like, I know that dude. That's Preston. And they were like, what? He's been in all this video. What? And so then I became really, really cool with my kids immediately, just over that.
Yeah.
They don't care about anything else I do, but I know a guy, I interview a guy on the ABT stage that's in these videos.
And that's like, there's a lot, like the rookie class with the elites and all that stuff. I think the industry is at one of its peaks as far as involvement. There's a ton of new anglers. There's a ton
lot of youth.
And it's great because they're going to be lifelong customers. If they're in it now in their teens and 20s, they're going to keep doing it for the next 20, 30 years, right? Which is advantageous for all of us.
No doubt.
But as far as what's next, to answer your question we originally started on, obviously technology is going to further to develop, right? When it comes to forward sonar, there is already a technology that exists that I think will eventually get downgraded to what we have. Which anyone that knows anything about like bill fishing and stuff like that, there's a sonar technology called Omni Sonar.
Mm-hmm.
It right now, just to give people preference, it is a very large transducer that physically has essentially a rod that,
like a periscope kind of deal.
It lowers itself into the water, and it practically has if you ever seen like in a business building, for example, like an actual like computer tower, it has that to operate it, and someone has to physically operate it all day. But what it does is it pretty much shoots sonar a mile. In theory, it's like underwater radar. It pretty much can shoot 360 degrees. It can target lock on a fish and track it, is what it can do. And in that world, in the bill fishing world, there are tournaments that ban it. Because,
dude, you just made Randy block it like he just threw up in his mouth.
Yeah. That technology just...
Target lock.
If I remember correctly, that stuff's like just the transducer and assembly is like 150 grand.
No, it's a lot.
Yeah. So I think eventually what's next for us is the day and age of, having one transducer for forward, one for the landscape mode, and a 360. That will all eventually get combined into one transducer.
Encompassed into one.
Yeah. I think that's what's eventually going to happen. Is that's going to get integrated into one transducer, and the technology is just, live scope of, obviously they're eventually going to probably have another iteration that's just clearer, more range, stuff like that.
Just see their eyeballs at some point.
Or active target. Mike would want me to say active target. So
active target.
Active target or live scope, whatever the forward.
Shout out to Corbishley. Shout out to our Lawrence buddy, Mikey.
Yeah. But I think that's the big thing is just, we're going to keep refining that technology.
Do you think mapping will ever get more advanced? Can it? Because what we got right now is freaking really good.
Pretty good. Like all the companies now, I have no obligation to any brand.
Right.
You saw my boat. I have all three on mine. They're all, I think what was always forever, Lake Master had the color shading.
Yeah.
Well, now Garmin and Lowrance have color shading.
Yeah.
So, and those brands have invested in getting lakes mapped, and I don't know if it can get more refined than that. Now, what I think will get more integrated is Navionics has that relief shading filter.
Yeah.
Which is pretty slick.
That's cool.
I think you'll see more little filters like that. But I think mapping, I think we're pretty close because you can get satellite on your phone and everything. I think we're pretty,
about as far as we can go with that, maybe.
I think we're pretty close. I'm sure there's some, well, to my point earlier, the military normally has all this stuff 20 years before we do.
Yeah.
Live scope, side scan. They had side scan in World War II on submarines. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Tail end of World War II, I believe, or maybe a little after that. We get all this technology way later.
Do you think that I was talking to Atkins about this, and this is total pie in the sky stuff, but mapping. Can you imagine something that's like a combination of what down scan looks like a simulation almost, that if we ever got to an AI simulation of what that river ledge looked like under, you know what I'm saying? Where it grabs all the thing and then goes.
I take back my statement. Some sort of 3D mapping would be down the road.
I got to think somebody has got
100% where you can kind of like Google Earth almost, where you can pull and move in and stuff.
And where it draws me a picture.
Like Street View.
Yeah.
Google Street View, but in the water.
And you're a guy like so many of your counterparts with electronics. You can I'm side scan this. And that's a hard spot. And look, it's got a turn and blah, blah, blah. And you can describe that on the front deck of your boat. But I still think none of us actually really know what it looks like. Like you're scuba diving. But can you imagine if you scanned it and all of a sudden it goes, tuk, 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 and you go to that view and it's like, oh, damn, there's a stump with a little, you can see a little hole.
I can see that. Yeah, that would be. I guess take back my statement. That would literally Google Street View of the water would be,
but like a simulated underwater. Yeah, I told Atkins that the other night, and he's like, "What have you been smoking?" I said, "Mind your business."
I don't know. I'm ready for the whole forward sonar because I think some organization's going to make adjustments next year.
For sure, that
I don't think it's going to be a flat out ban, and I think those adjustments will be made, and the outcome will still be the same. Anglers like Patrick Walters and Taku and Koya and all and these rookies that are putting their time in, they're going to keep catching them.
They're going to keep running off with things. I think, I was kind of thinking this during live yesterday. I think what gets people is it all looks the same to them. They don't actually understand. They see the fish catch clips that they're commenting on a lot of times, and I don't think they realize what it took to get that fish to bite.
Agreed.
It's like a guy like Isaac Peavy House. Shout out to Isaac. He's having a fantastic season.
You just see him cracking the hook set.
Well, you doing the highlight packages, but we're with him for 5 hours. I saw him set the hook 6 times yesterday.
Yep.
He had 23 pounds on day 2, and we watched him boat 5 all day, right? Or 7, whatever it was.
A tough day.
But I'm saying dude, he's got it. And he's like, well, there's one. And we would do his Sonar Pros, Sonar View.
Yeah.
We're watching him, and he's throwing it 20, and they're just like, tick, tick, tick. It's not magic, man. Those are the comments I can get. If you don't want to watch it, I get it. If you don't like it, whatever. If you want to be the dude that throws a damn square bill down the bank for the rest of your life, go do it. That's cool. You'll get a bite.
You will.
It's bass fishing. They're still up there and around. But don't automatically throw somebody aside as not a good angler because they utilize it a lot. Or just think that it's a magic box because it's not.
I saw an Instagram reel about it where it was like a guy fishing and it says fishing without live scope. And he has his head down.
Oh, I've
fishing,
seen that. Yeah.
And then it's fishing with live scope and he has his head down fishing. The perception of it's boring to watch. You and I talked about before we came in.
Yeah.
Fishing is not that. It's exciting to some of us that like we're just tournament nerds. And
that's
I
it.
want to pick up the subtleties.
Your general people are never going to watch it.
Yeah, like I was watching day 3 coming in here because I want to see if Patrick's lying to me about what he did. And then
he is. I don't even know what he told you. He is.
And then number 2, I like to see like almost like tape review. You know,
that's it.
Post game tape review. That's what I like to go look at, and just pick up on subtleties because that's to us fishing is exciting, but to the general public, that's why fishing I don't think will ever be golf. It's not a viewership sport.
It's very complicated too at its core. Like to be a competitive tournament angler, I don't think people realize how intense it is, the preparation, and how truly complicated it is. Like you talked about those just near misses, making those misses actual, like landing that, hitting that right on the head to win a big event, dude. Drew Cook had a week that anybody would kill for him. Pickwick,
incredible week.
And still came up short. So many guys caught the biggest bags they've ever caught in their life. And came up short. Like the weights were crazy, 15 pound a day to get paid.
I honestly, coming into the event, I was like, 11, 12 pounds a day gets you.
I figured 12 or 13.
It came to like
15
and change.
Yeah. It got better.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I think the expectation with any TVA lake right now is they're not healthy, but
shoot, Gunnersville and Pickwick got it going on. Wheeler as well. Real quick before I get you to Georgia, the 10:30 takeoff, the delayed deal,
and we got to talk about the house.
And we got to talk about the house. 10:30 takeoff. NPFL makes a decision to alter that for current generation, different things. We weighed in like last night was literally in the dark.
Night derb.
How cool was it?
It was cool.
It was cool, right?
Yeah.
Like I was watching weigh in. It was cool.
Yeah. I mean, what a lot of people probably don't realize on the back end, and I'm not trying to speak on behalf of the NPFL, but the goal of us coming is to showcase the fishery.
Yeah.
So after the event, the community feels a financial impact because people come to the lake to want to fish it. Right.
Yeah. That's the point.
And changing to that time frame to kind of meet the current schedule, I think was fantastic because I think it was a big part of why we saw the weights we saw.
For sure.
I'm sure you could go, I'm sure there's data somewhere where you can see the timestamps of weights that people have punched in.
Oh yeah. I was looking at it. I was watching.
I guarantee you it was probably really, obviously we caught fish in the morning, but the weights probably didn't pick up till like 2 o'clock after.
The weights that got brought to the scales, the culls, a lot of them would not start until like 5 p.m. We would go off live at 5,
and it would start.
And the weights that everybody had, like honest weights, like talking to guys, getting their camera guys with what they brought in at 7.
Yep.
There were some significant culls that were made.
That's why I told my camera guy when he got picked up, he was like, "Man, I hope the day picks up." I was like, "Heck, it's about to pick up." I was like, "I'm probably about to go catch."
That was my only gripe to Brad when he said those times. I was like, "Well, dude, can we do live from 2 like through the way?" He's like, "When that gets messy for live."
And you start those last 2 hours. I'm sure aren't great lighting.
I'm sure, yeah, but and we've never ran into that before. But I was there Wednesday morning for launch, and the vibe because it's not early. Dude, it was like vacation. Great. Like everybody's just like, "What's up?" Everybody was in such a good mood. It was so much fun. 4:30 in the morning. Dude.
Yeah,
I
loved it.
Every tournament should be this way, man.
I loved it because you got to sleep in a little bit. We did our tackle in the morning.
Dude,
you could see what I was doing with my rods.
So many guys I talked to were like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do mine in the morning."
It's great.
And the only where NPFL missed, they didn't have a breakfast buffet at the ramp because they should have, Yeah,
coffee and donuts.
Yeah, we needed a breakfast buffet. But dude, the vibe, it was the best takeoff I've ever been to in my life, man. Like everybody, I mean, it gets daylight at like 5 a.m. right now.
The first day was kind of a mind trip because it was a tougher day for me. I lost 3 big ones in the morning, but I looked down at my graph and it says 1:30. I'm like,
I'm fixing to get a win.
God, I'm having a bad. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing it 5:30.
Yeah. Well, I get used to our broadcast times too, right? And I would go, Well, and I always say, like, we do top of the hour updates. Like, well, as we enter the blah, blah, blah hours, what I always kind of say. And I'll be like, well, as we enter the 3 o'clock hour, and I'm like, and we're normally done by 1. I'm like,
you're only a
what
couple
the
hours
hell?
in.
We just started. It was definitely a weird transition for us. And the weigh-in not in until 8. Last night was really late.
It was late. Yeah.
8:15.
Well, we didn't leave.
Nights.
So last night, because, after you win, you get polygraphed, which is a time. I mean, I think
time
it was
consuming.
like 30 minutes.
Depends on the polygraph guy, for sure.
Yeah.
But for sure.
And heck, we didn't leave the parking lot last night till 10, and then
straight to Freddie T's.
Well, we went to the house and then changed and went to Freddie T's because it was the only place, that upstairs part was the only place that was open for food pretty much around us.
You guys didn't need food at that point.
Yeah, we needed a little to offset what came after that. And then Big Al walked in and
Oh, he brought the boom? Oh, Big Al
showed up.
Did he still have his Vols jersey on? Probably.
He did not.
He took it off?
He took that hideous thing off.
No, go Vols. Dude,
Did you hear me on live what I said?
No, I missed
He went. I meant to kept telling him when we were live, but I said, yeah, Pickwick's a great lake, but God, all these Tennessee flags everywhere.
Oh, I didn't hear you because I would have definitely addressed that. I did on live at one point. I said, Cook being a Florida State guy, we beat them, in the tournament. It was controversial and all that stuff that first game when we came back. And then we ended up being the team to put them out. You had him, you had Patrick, and then you had Peavy House on day 2. We were talking about him a lot. He's a Tennessee guy.
Yeah.
And he said, go Vols. And I'm like, man, I'm not supposed to pick favorites, but I need him to win and keep the trophy away from a Gamecock or a Seminole
fan.
I can't have this. All right, speaking of those two, and Corbishley and Justin Kimmel, you told me off air, we call you guys the House of Heroes. That was really a Fat Cat name. I call you the Avengers. We call you a lot of things. Why you said that you don't like House of Heroes? What do you guys not like?
To me, it doesn't really matter. As long as we can keep some sort of reputation, because the house does well, which means we're all getting paid. But yeah, I was told to relay to you that
from who
the House of Horror, the House of Heroes isn't.
That's it. That isn't it.
Isn't a fan. Yeah.
Is that a houseboat?
Kimmel and Corbishley, I believe, voiced that opinion.
Well, you know what? Corbishley won the last one, but this week they don't get a vote.
They don't get a vote?
Out of the 5, Lowe is finishing 2.
Yeah. Which,
and they're 2 good buddies of mine, and I love saying that. Corbishley finished 14th.
Yeah. Finished the top 20. So
and just won the last one.
Shucks, what a bad tournament for Corbishley.
Terrible tournament for Mikey.
I don't know. We'll have to think of I like the Avengers isn't bad. I
say the Avengers because I'm a Marvel nerd, and I like the Avengers. I'll let you guys sort out who's who. I've not done that yet. Patrick's too lazy to be Iron Man.
I was gonna say I could be Tony Stark.
I was gonna say
technology.
You're definitely Tony Stark.
Yeah, I don't know what to be. I don't mind House of Heroes. Personally, I don't mind House of Heroes, but at the same time too, like
we might have said Hero House for a while, but then we said House of Heroes. I forget how it ever ended up to House of Heroes. We've called it a lot. I forget what Big Al says, but you never know what Big Al's going to say first of all.
But the ultimate goal is just number 1, have fun. And number 2, make sure we all make money.
Yeah.
I think it's not as common as it should be in fishing as far as like working. If you find a good group of guys that you can work with,
trust is a big thing.
I promise you it will work out in everyone's benefit.
Well, and it's I think it makes it more fun, man. It's almost a competition inside of the competition as well with your buddies, because you want everybody to do well, but obviously you want to be the dude in the house that comes out on top.
Yep.
And we see that with y'all every turn. Of course, they don't win every tournament, but they're in the mix a lot. We talk about these guys a ton, and next NPFL at Saginaw Bay, you need to watch these guys and the rest of the crew, because it's going to be a good one up there.
Should be fun.
Trent Palmer, y'all check out Sonar Pros. Check out Trent. He's got social media. He's always just trying to make viral clips. Dancing on TikTok.
Big social media guy.
By the way, I'm going to close with this. Fat Cat during the broadcast yesterday said that he used to be a dancer.
A dancer.
He said he was a dancer and his stage name was Power Pole. During the broadcast, and nothing has ever stopped me in my tracks more, other than the fact that I was talking about Drew Cook having a peanut sponsorship. This was also he does, and I was like, dude, that's awesome.
South Georgia boy.
I said he lives down there in peanut country, and I was trying to give Drew, sponsor some love, and I was like, I love bull peanuts. And Fat Cat just is dead at. Look, we're gonna get fired one day. I probably shouldn't even call this back, but he goes, you do love nuts in your mouth.
Oh God!
On NPFL Live. So Progressive Insurance, when they don't sponsor us anymore,
that locker room talk.
Oh yeah, dude. Trent, I appreciate you, buddy. You're the man. I'm going to take
brother.
you out some Biloxi Blues. Thank y'all for listening and watching every week, and I'll see y'all, I don't know, I guess on the 22nd of July, we'll have another one of these. After Icast, I'll probably be talking about all the game changers. It'll be amazing.
Game changer.
See ya.
Damn these Biloxi Blues, it happens every night. And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine. The summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.